Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. I'm Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo, and this is episode 63. And I guess 63 is my lucky number because I have something very, very, very special for the second feature on this episode, which is why I'm here re-shooting this episode for the second time. Yes, second time. That means I shot it twice before, and I'm shooting it for a third time. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, and I think that you all will like what I have coming to you in, well, very soon. So last week we had a big week, and I did also. I got right back into the routine of things, releasing my Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous episode 62, a 5 for Ben Lesnick, not appearing but moderating on Ladies of the Round Table, which I am a regular on every Friday night at around 9 p.m., 9:30. It's live streamed on Twitch, and I'll put the information down below. And then, of course, putting my State of the Game up. But even more so, Cloud Imperium Games has been very, very busy. And let's talk a little bit about that, because what they're doing now is starting to bring us these design documents. And I'm going to have a feature right after my initial news about the design document that specifically has to do with Arena Commander credits. And it was one of the topics of one of my State of the Games. And like I said, that was a topic I kind of knew was coming, and I wanted to get what you guys thought about this. And they actually wound up doing it right. So all I'm going to touch on here isn't what Arena Commander credits are, but as soon as we're done talking about them, I'm going to go into a little bit about some things, some pushback, and how Chris handled it. Okay? All right, so let's get into the second piece. The second piece is the things that were announced in last week's Comlink. So one of the things that we had was, of course, look up here. They are the 300 series of starships that have been available for use for those people that have not purchased them inside of the Arena Commander module. Now, don't expect to see these things in your hangar as you run in. They will only be in Star Citizen's Arena Commander module. That means you're going to have to log in, you're going to have to pick the ship and fly it. You won't get to see it in its grandeur sitting there in your hangar. I think that's I understand why they do that, but I also think that they should drop them in your hangar because I think it will build a little bit more of that excitement around the starships so you could actually go out and purchase them when the week is over. So the 300i, 315p, the Exploration Edition, 325a, Mercenary Bounty Hunter Personal Fighter, 350r, best damn racer out there, and the M50, which is kind of in a class of its own as a high-speed police interceptor, but also as that racer. Beautiful, beautiful starships. You could fly each and every one of them. And the two limited editions, the 350R and the M50, are for sale. And I think that sale runs until the end of this week. If I missed that, I do apologize. So they did give us a little bit more information. Last week we had a little bit of a sneak peek into what they're doing with the Holo Table. I have been very disappointed with the Holo Table up to this point. I think it could be done a lot better, and it seems like they're going to be starting to put some work into that. I never thought it was something that needed to be corrected now, as there's many, many more pieces of the game that need to come into play before we actually start looking at things as, well, I can't see when we're actually going to need the Holo Table until the game goes live. But I guess they're trying to drum up the excitement around Arena Commander, and that's why they're working on it. So the Holo Table, here it is. It's got a few little additions to it, and it looks like it's going to be much easier to manipulate. That's a pretty good thing for us, right? So the second thing that I'm going to talk about is going to be what they were supposed to have going on. And I do apologize for looking down at my notes here, but it was supposed to be the devs versus the backers kind of dogfights. And that was supposed to go on Monday. And the matchmaker system was broken. And because of that, we couldn't get that working. So they put it off until today. Only I couldn't take part in it today because of my surprise that's going to be coming up for our second feature. All right, so we had a lot, like I said, that went on. Last piece that I want to talk about before we get into our first little, I guess you'd call it a segment, is the RSI Museum. Okay, RSI's museum gives us pieces that look back on gaming that has touched Chris Roberts or the Wing Commander, Star Citizen genre in some way. And they go all the way back to the Origin games, Ultima, and they sat down and they talked with Richard Garriott. If you're trying to draw some kind of relationship between Richard Garriott and Chris Roberts, then you don't know Chris Roberts. He was part of Origin for quite a while. Origin was created by Richard Garriott, Lord British himself, which I just find one of the most dreamy people I've ever met. Love him. He's awesome. And they worked together for quite a while. And to have this piece inside of the RSI Museum, I think it fits there. Some of the people were asking if it set back other production or other things. There's no way. No way. It was amazing. It was great. And I think that it's going to be one of those things I hope they keep on bringing things into RSI Museum that occasionally jump outside of the Star Citizen genre. Okay, so design equipment credits, that's what we're talking about here in this first segment. Rental equipment credits is the name being given to the currency that you'll be able to earn in the Star Citizen Arena Commander module. Now, I talked about this a little bit ago, and that was about how to drive a little bit more excitement and attention and a little bit more traffic into Arena Commander to make those of us that are actually playing it have a better, more rich experience. And with that, Cloud Imperium Games has answered with this perfect mechanic. Well, it's not perfect yet. We don't even know exactly what it's going to be until it gets implemented, but we have a pretty deep overview about it, but seeing it in practice is something I want to see. So let's go over it now. In the first part of the mechanic, we'll talk about the cost of goods that you could purchase inside of Arena Commander. And the way they're looking at it is they're taking, for instance, a gun that costs 10,000 UEC. It's going to cost 10% of that, or 1,000 UEC. Now, at the end of 1 week, you're going to need to renew your rental of that item. So instead of just 1,000 paying again, you'll get a 20% discount, and it will be 800 UEC to continue using it for yet another week. They're going to be renting the equipment because they don't want you to be able to accumulate everything in game and be overpowered. Remember, this is about testing the game, it's about testing the weaponry, and finding out what works best for you and how the items actually work in practice. That way they could balance them. So it's kind of a give and take here. They're giving us the opportunity to be able to earn credits inside of the Arena Commander module while not spending our own dollars and cents, and learn what things work and what things don't, so that when we do spend UEC in-game or go into the Voyager Direct store and spend our hard-earned cash, we're getting exactly what we want. Here's a potential design of what the mobiGlas interface is going to look like at some point for purchasing our equipment. At the very top, you can see the UEC that you have and the REC. Pay no attention to the cost of things, as they will change and they are probably not 100% set in stone at this point. But it does give us an opportunity to see how we're going to be spending our money and what interface we'll be using. How do I earn this REC, you might be asking? Very easy, by playing in certain modes within the Star Citizen Arena Commander module. Those right now seem to be Squadron Battle, Murray Cup, and Capture the Core. At the beginning of each battle or each race, there'll be a pot, a kitty. At the end of the race or the match, that kitty will be split up, with the most going to the winners, and then that pot being split between the people that had the most impact on the game. Kind of unfair for the person that plays defense in Capture the Core, but let's just say it is a first run through on this system. Inside of Murray Cup Racing, it'll just be like a real race. The winner gets the largest piece of the pot, and the person that comes in last may get 0. Coffee is for closers, right? That's pretty much it. In the future, they're going to be awarding more REC for things like milestones. Think of them as achievements. Number of kills you've had, number of minutes you played, number of races you've won. You get the idea, right? After that, they're going to start implementing daily challenges. And again, these are just like dailies in any other MMO. Shoot down 5 Vanduul, shoot down 5 other enemy players, capture 5 cores. I'm giving you a hypothetical. I'm not telling you exactly what it's going to be. All this is up in the air and it will be fine-tuned over time. But what I want you to remember about this is that REC is not a way for them to pacify us. It's not a way for them to get more money from us. In actuality, what REC is about is helping the testing of the game and giving us an opportunity to test without having to keep spending our money. If there's a certain ship that you want to fly, you just go out there, you play the game until you accumulate enough REC, and then you could add it to your, I guess you'd call it your Arena Commander hangar, but I'm not sure, but your Arena Commander collections of ships. And as long as you keep making REC over the week and have enough money to pay for the rental the next week, which would be 20% less, you get to keep that ship. Or you can go and get a different ship if you want. Okay, this is just a quick look into what REC is and what the system is today. We'll talk a little bit more about this as time goes on and after, of course, it gets implemented. And with that said, let's get back to the rest of the show. So I know I called them design equipment credits, and I know it's actually rental equipment credits. So please do bear with me. I'm kind of excited about the next feature that we're going to have. So rental equipment credits are important to the game. And let's just talk about where we're at right now. The game is in pre-alpha. There's a lot of assets out there that need testing. There's starship drives, in other words, power plants, and I guess you call them main thrusters. There's maneuvering thrusters. There's shields, and there's going to be shield scanners, and there's going to be all sorts of other equipment, including missiles, guns, cannons, all sorts of things, rockets that need to be tested. And when you look at Voyager Direct, some of them are quite pricey. 18,000 UEC isn't going to be something that's hard to earn in-game. It's going to be something that you'll probably earn in a couple of missions and being able to upgrade your ship. Let me tell you, I play Elite Dangerous, and right now I'm trying to get something that's called an advanced discovery scanner that cost millions, and it's taken me a while. So those things are made to be earned in-game. However, they do sell them to us now, which means that we have to go out, and for $1, we get 1,000 UEC, and we can go out there and essentially for $18 buy 1 weapon or $36 buy 2 and outfit our ships. Well, that doesn't fly for me. I've already spent a couple of $1,000s on the game, mainly because I'm doing the show. If you think I'm crazy, well, it's because I'm up here talking to you about Star Citizen, and I think that it's my job to be able to present these things to you. However, now that they're going to be doing rental equipment credits, it makes it easier for us to get these items to test. And I like the fact that they're doing it with a recurring fee. That way you can accumulate every weapon and every piece inside of Arena Commander and thus overpower all your ships, making it very difficult for anyone to beat you. I like this. I like the way that they're going about this. And Chris Roberts responded to all of the pushback, all the negative feedback that was here. And you can look at the message that he has up here right now, or you can go to the thread, which should be at the bottom at this piece right now. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I support the way that they're handling it, and I love the fact that they're going ahead with the idea of making credits inside of Arena Commander, and thus being able to buy equipment to be able to test what's out there for the game already. Wonderful idea. All right, in this next piece, well, I'm just going to pass it on to past me who might be future me, and that's it. All right. A big apology to everybody that was going to be tuning in here for the interview I had with Sandi and Chris. There was a technical issue on my end, a absolutely huge one, in fact, whereby my computer at some point switched inputs and started recording my microphone twice instead of Chris and Sandy. Chris and Sandy have agreed at some point in the very near future, Sandy's going to try to work it out with Chris, to come back on. We were talking about the early days of Chris Roberts, Sandy, Ben, and I guess Eric and a couple of other members of the team getting together to begin the crowdfunding campaign. It seems like most of the work, however, was done by those two there and Ben Lesnick, who is not in this picture. If you've been following the game, you understand, you know what this story is, and I'm going to get back to him, and we are going to re-record this particular segment. It's not like things haven't gone awry in some of Cloud Imperium Games productions, like we've had the live streams go down, we've had a couple of other things not work out, like most recently the dev versus backer dogfights. Sorry about the pause there. I do apologize, though. I had it all set up, and it actually came into being rather quickly on Monday, where Sandy said, "So, do you want us to come on the show today?" And I was thinking that we would be going on later on. I started the conversation with Chris with just a couple of statements, and I looked at him and I said, "Chris, you like to talk? I want to keep this to 10 minutes if possible." Well, it ran 35, and I'm sure he'll give me the same amount of time next time also. So I will say, do stay tuned. I will be getting them again on the show, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to get a couple of different questions. My first question to him was, Chris, looking back on that dream you had so long ago as a little boy, can you tell me how close Star Citizen is to making that dream a reality? And that one question took him 5 minutes to answer, and I would say it's very close to making his dream a reality. And I'm going to ask him that question again just so you could hear him talk about it. I then talked about the crowdfunding campaign, but like I said, I'd like to get some of your ideas on what I should ask him next time he joins with me. Joins me on the show, I should say. God, I'm nervous about this because I don't want to look like I'm unprofessional. It was totally a big issue with cabling and nothing else. Everything's been corrected. And just so you know, take a look at how my studio looks when I'm recording Chris and Sandy for next time. Before I explain the setup and explain the bare feet, let me just start by saying thank you to, first, everyone that watches the show, shares it, comments on it, and likes it every single week. I appreciate it. It's hard work, and it does take a lot of time. And then I want to give a very big and special thanks to the people that have gone to patreon.com, patreon.com/batgirl, and have contributed to the show. Because of you, I have this green screen studio. The camera system I have set up there is going to be improved over time. Right now I'm using a little tiny handy cam, which is the front camera. The back tripod actually has the webcam on it that was showing me to Chris and Sandy. The MacBook Air over there is just sitting there. It's actually recording audio from the boom mic that you see. That audio is going to be matched up with the video that's on the handy cam. And of course, the iMac is recording the iMac is recording Chris and Sandy, or whoever I will be interviewing in the future. It's quite an elaborate setup and quite difficult to manage. And when it came down to it, it was two pieces of equipment. It was the software I was using, and that's been updated, and that one black wire coming out of the left side of the iMac, which detached right in the middle of the episode, and it was attached to a microphone that was up underneath my dress, and I reconnected it, and that changed the input source and thus killed the audio with Chris and Sandy. They're good sports about it. Like I said, they've had their own failures in trying to get things working, but you know, everything's a learning experience, and I've learned a lot doing the show. If you just look at what I do, where I do it, and how much it's improved over the course of the almost 18 months I've been doing it, I owe a lot to you guys for the feedback and the input that you've given me, and specifically to some people I've interviewed and some people I've talked to on the show, like Michael Moreland, who is now with Eric over at, I guess they're Descendant Games, and of course Brian Dickerson over at Cloud Imperium Games, and Ian, who have helped me with setting up the studio, which is not done yet. I will have more professional lighting at some point in the future as more donations come in. Well, guys, let's go back to the show. I'm sorry about missing the Chris and Sandi interview for you all, but we'll get back and do it again someday, I promise. All right, so you didn't get to see the whole interview there, but that totally shocked me. I've made good friends with people out there, and I will continue to build that relationship that I have with the different people that are over at Cloud Imperium Games. But I've had a couple of conversations with Chris already, and a very, very, very extremely short one before the game, before that piece was filmed. And I have to tell you, I just love them, and I think they're wonderful. And the fact that they give me time isn't that they're picking favorites. It's that I think I've been consistent. I think I've been doing a different type of show than most people. I guess only Wes with The Whole Truth, which Wes, get off your rear end if you're okay. I hope nothing's bad. And come back and do The Whole Truth because you're awesome. But I think that I do a different type of show, and I've built that credibility with them. But I've also made friends with people like Ben. And I think I'm going to be making friends with some other people out there, including Sandi, who I've now had on the show 3 times. And gotten a nice conversation out there. All right, let's move on to the next segment because things are going to go rolling, right? And the next segment, of course, is What's on Sandi's Facebook. It's time for another What's on Sandi's Facebook, and Sandi has been active this week, putting up quite a few pictures. So let's take a look at them and see what she was showing us. In this one, she's telling us that there were a couple of surprises last week, and we know that was a sale, and the fact that the Orion and mining will be out this week. Over here, wow, what is this? I guess it's Searching the Gold Horizons space station, which is pretty cool. In this next image, she points out that more than just spaceships could be upgraded. Upgradable weapons? You gotta like that, right? All right, let's move on to the next, and it is the entrance to some kind of big sphere. I guess this is like that Thunderdome thing that you're going to go in and do 0G FPS combat. Can't wait to see this. Another one of Sandi and Ben on the set of Around the Verse, which is very, very tiny. And in this next one, Sandi's upset. The matchmaking system broke this week, so we were not able to have the devs versus backers dogfights. Oh, so sad. And here we get to see the renovation of the interior of the Cutlass, and the Cutlass Avenger and Retaliator are all undergoing design changes to make them the first ships to have the new modular design. And that's it for What's on Sandi's Facebook. Be sure to leave some comments below to tell me what you think of her images. And with that, let's get back to the rest of the show. I'll be a continued supporter of Sandi's Facebook and tell you, for all of you that are saying she should be putting these inside of the the Robert Space Industries forums, I'll tell you this. And I said it before and I'll continue to say it. Sandi, just keep doing it the way you're doing it, because I think that it's going to start bringing more people into the game as they start seeing these different pieces of what's going on your Facebook. And it reaches into that web of people in our extended connections on Facebook and Twitter and other locations that aren't in the game yet. 700,000, 750,000 is a lot of people, but you know what? I think we could reach 100,000, and I think this is one of the things that Sandi's doing that could get us there. All right, it's yet another week that I wanted to do a tell me about your organization segment, and I'm going to pass it off. I think these shows could get very long, and I know that I'm going to have a lot less content at times, and I'm going to start filling it in with those. But I'm going to ask you this. There have been many people that have sent in some written things about your particular organization. If you have some kind of a video about your organization that's already posted, link me to that in YouTube so I can figure out how I'm going to put that together. When you send me things on paper, I will get it done, and I will make sure that it is perfect and done in the right light to support your organization here on my show. But that takes me more time. If you want to shoot something that I just put in that part of my show, as long as you keep it professional and keep it looking nice, it makes it easier for me. Either way, I'll get your information up here. All right, guys, that was a lot this week, okay? I jumped right into what they were talking about with REC, which are the rental equipment credits. We went right into a first part of the interview with Chris Roberts and Sandy Gardner, and then, of course, closed out the show. Thank you all for your support. Remember, those of you that do support me on patreon.com, thank you. And for the rest of you, thank you so very much for continuing to watch me, continuing to comment and click that like button. And if you do like the show, make sure you click the thumbs up below. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And with that said, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.